Hello and thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, court sacks 20 Cross Rivers lawmakers for defecting from PDP to APC. President Muhammadu Buhari and governors to meet over APC consensus lists, and few days to the party's national convention. And later on the show, bandits kill village head, 19 others in fresh Zamfara attack as state government hires ex-servicemen to tackle insecurity. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Dotun Oladipo. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. While the wheel of justice started to grind regarding the gruesome killing of Bamise and Yonwale in the bus rapid transit BRT in Lagos, the Lagos state government has arraigned the BRT driver Andrew Nice before a Lagos High Court sitting at Tafa Balewa Square over the alleged rape and murder of his passenger Bamise. The driver is facing a 4-count charge bordering on rape, conspiracy and murder. Let's share the story with you.
Andrew Nice and others said to be at large were accused of conspiring to rape and murder Bamise and Yonwale at about 1900 hours on February 26, 2022 between Lekki-Ajah Expressway and Carter Bridge in Lagos. He's also accused of raping another young lady who's 29 years old last November around the Lekki Conservation Center, which is also on the Lekki-Ajah Expressway. Dr. Jide Martins, who is the Director of Public Prosecutions, represented Lagos State, while Isaac Ezekwem represented the defendant. Another counsel, Ayo Ademiluyi, announced appearance for the Yonwale family.
The Director of Public Prosecutions, Dr. Jide Martins, told Justice Shonoike that there is a strong likelihood that the state government will amend the charges against the defendant, Andrew Nice, and that the post-mortem examination of Ms. Yonwale is still pending, the result of which will be brought to the court when it has been conducted. Though the defendant pleaded not guilty to the 4-counts charge, his lawyer says they will be considering an option of plea bargain.
Inviting international observers, international forensic observers, international forensic pathologists to so conduct that pathology. It is the opinion, the report of that pathology that would be of use to us. And of course, the prosecution, although we are watching brief, we can only be seen and not be heard. The prosecution also said they will be available to employ video links, which are so about that. Wonderful enough, the late Bamise Yonwale was so gallant enough, was so resolute enough to produce serious video evidence that will be useful in this something.
The case was adjourned to May the 9th, 10th and the 11th, 2022 for trial to begin fully, and the defendant was ordered to be further remanded at the Nigerian Correctional Center in Ikoyi. Earlier in March, Yaba Chief Magistrate's Court remanded the defendant for 30 days, pending the DPP's legal advice, which has now been issued, prompting the case to be heard at the High Court, which is statutorily empowered to hear capital offences such as rape and murder. Kemi Foladiemo, TVC News, Lagos.
This Andrew is not looking nice at all.
No, there's nothing nice about this Andrew until the courts pronounce him guilty. We will continue to see him as an Andrew that is as clean as a sewage pit. Until the courts pronounce him clean, he would be seen by people as an Andrew just as clean as a sewage pit. So this is just the way it is. You know, this kind of crime is an emotive one. Anybody who has a daughter of that girl's age, this kind of crime will bother you so much. And at a point when people were wondering, Was this driver just a victim of circumstance?
Do you understand? That's how the way I saw it initially.
Suddenly, we started.
People started coming up.
Yes, and
this particular.
Someone even went as far as providing evidence of transfer of money. After having carnal knowledge of her forcibly,
now
sent money,
sent 3,000 naira.
Sent money. So that one is already in the public domain. That evidence is already in public. Many Andrews like him will not even give a dime. So it's not a matter of
it was being nice to have sent the out of duty.
Maybe
questions.
that is what he thinks entitled him to being called nice. But that's not. That's not how somebody who is nice behaves.
Doctor, we have crimes like this all over the states, and this will be like a pointer as something to serve as deterrent. People go, especially, in a state that is not well littered or areas are not well littered across the city. You find a lot of, deadly activities, going on every night.
Well, even where you have good lighting and all the rest, once a man is armed, or you feel, especially as a lady, but even as a man, that even without this man bringing out any form of ammunition or arm, he's capable of taking me out, the first thing is to slow down. And that's where this issue of the courage of the lady speaks volume. There is need for everybody now, even if you are driving your own car, to be on top of some safety measures. That even if it cannot save your life, it will at least bring the criminal to justice. Because that is what a lot of families find very frustrating and painful, that somebody dies and you cannot even
no clue, no trace.
No clue, no trace, no nothing. There have been people in this Lagos who are still being sought for 10 years after. They just went out of the house and you can't find them. And it's the people who have done this are the Andrews who are not nice. They are just there. Roaming all over the place.
Pretending to be nice.
Or pretending to be nice. That is why for me it is important that, especially as information is going around now, we should begin to teach people the use to which you can put our mobile phones in times of danger. Because it's important. Even if someone's life is going to go, let's even be able to get some of these criminals.
Maybe one final evidence or something.
Out of
for me, I just think that the best thing that Lagos State government can do, and the judiciary in Lagos, the best thing they can do is to expedite the trial of this fellow. Then let the coroner's report come out, the report of the pathologist, let it come out. Let's determine whether before that girl died, she was actually raped, so that all of the facts that are needed can be provided. And let this trial not take eternity, as we always see in our country. I always talk about Uganda, where one girl was seen to be torturing a little baby, a baby, and it caused outrage all over the world. Within a couple of months, the trial was concluded and justice was served. That's the way it should be, especially where something that concerns, that is making people hungry. Like this. You don't have to waste time.
Just like we discussed yesterday, the case of yesterday, I was coming and I listened on radio what we discussed yesterday, and two lawyers were arguing and they were fighting that, that case that went to the courts in Abia spent 10 days. The other lawyer said, no, it's 11 days. I said, so filing everything is 11 days as the speed of light.
Nobody was aware of the hearing.
The speed of light, I think they used to dispense the thing. So we want to see if the judiciary is that responsible. We want to see that same speed. It should not take time at all. Justice delayed.
The efforts of lawyers to deliberately prolong the case should be frustrated.
Should be resisted.
And judges can do a lot. You know, let us get to the root of this matter.
All right.
That is what we are after. We are not interested in protecting anybody. Anybody who sits there and says, oh, these people, maybe they are protecting Lagos state government, then they don't know what they are talking about.
Story. People just sit down
and concord things and come up with opinions about us that show that you know next to nothing about us.
Wow. The Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, now has a new terminal 8 years after its scheduled delivery. President Muhammadu Buhari inaugurated the state-of-the-art terminal estimated to be worth over $100 million. Jide, I'm excited. I'm happy. That international airport, I think it was constructed and commissioned in 1978, 44 years down the line. That airport is nothing to write home about, the old one. And this new terminal, from what I've seen so far, I think it's something that we can be proud of.
You see, it's not the age of the airport that matters. There are far older airports in the US, and when you get into there, you won't even believe that they are that old. It's really not the age. I saw an hotel in Mozambique that was not built in this century, and it's looking extremely beautiful. It's in fact the best hotel in their country. I think by Polonia or something, one Portuguese name like that. You won't believe that the hotel is that old.
18 something.
Yes.
Or
very
19,
old.
Or 19 something.
19 something. You know? So it is the maintenance that will keep the place fresh, keep it looking new. Heathrow is not a new airport now, but go to Heathrow, as big as it is. Just one terminal of Heathrow is bigger than our airport, the Murtala airport. One terminal. You know, but it's looking new. Everyone knows that, look, you have to play your part. That's the way it should be. We can build fantastic terminals and all that if we do not cultivate that maintenance habit.
Culture.
Because the vice president went to that same airport some time ago and found that the chillers were not working, the toilets were dirty. He was very angry. And that's the gateway. The gateway to our country, left in that sorry state. You know, so we have to tell ourselves what is right. Thank God for somebody who felt that it was good to do that road.
That road. Oh.
That road was a disgrace.
Yeah.
Complete.
Disgrace. You are coming into Nigeria, that is the eyesore that confronts you. But today, at least we have that beautiful, one of the best roads around.
Credit to him.
Credit to him for doing that. Walled on both sides. You would think you actually
fly over.
You know, it reminds you of the airport in Ethiopia. Yes, walled on both sides. Beautiful. That's the way that even with the world will respect us more. Instead of bringing people to your airport, your luggage carousel are not working well. People will wait till eternity before their luggage comes. You know, we have to show the world that we can do things better.
I think this is going to be better, managed better, because the Chinese guys that actually assisted us, it's like a build, operate, and transfer arrangement.
Well, we'll always end.
But at least.
No, and that's what BKO is talking about.
Okay.
You see, all of these things, they don't take eternity. We've seen, like you have said, that this airport has taken 8 years, 8 long years to transform. There was a year, whether 2006 or 2007, it took the management of the airport in Malaga, Spain, less than 6 months to transform it. The people who traveled through it 6 months earlier couldn't believe that was what they were saying. And what did they do? They just cordoned off the areas they needed to work on.
And they'll be doing what?
And did it.
In phases.
In Heathrow, when also they were going to add another terminal, it was a matter of cordoning off one area, and they did the building there, and everybody is happy. What are they doing in other airports? Heathrow, for instance, you find out that Emirates holds one of the terminal, and it ensures that that terminal is well managed. You find its caricature plane right there at the entrance of that terminal. meaning this is for Itro. I mean, this is for Emirates. And it's well maintained. So why are we always making it look like these things are rock signs? They are not. In our homes, we can manage our air conditioners. We can manage our toilets. If you go to the toilet in the airport, they'll be making it look as if you should be paying them for tissues to use.
Yeah. Do you find people they'll stand in front of the airport, they'll say, "Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon,
sir." Why is it that
when you are
in
coming
our
out,
private, in our homes, in our private organizations, we have world-class facilities that we're able to maintain. But once it comes to the government-owned facilities, it becomes a problem. So it means something is wrong. And who are those who are in charge? That's what we should be looking at. Because I can tell you that in another few months, that's if it takes up to that, those ACs will not be working again. The carousel will be bad.
No, if it's going to be build, operate, and transfer, those ones will maintain it well.
At least we know of MM2. We know of MM2 now.
That's the thing.
It's build, operate, and transfer. And
if it's going to last forever, it will help us. But the moment you hand it over, that's where the challenge is.
5 years or so.
5 years.
At some point, you have to hand it over.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
But it's a very good this thing. Just as I suggested on Sunday, instead of us spending money, you will never find enough money to build infrastructure. Do a lot more of these BOTs and PPPs because you don't have money. And when they do it, at least the funds that you are looking for and borrowing money all over the place, they can provide those funds and deliver the infrastructure. Yes. That's the way to go. There's no. That's how it's done, even in the advanced countries. If a private company can be building refinery for a country. If we had adopted that, by now they will have one of those companies will have delivered the refinery to us for us. Now we don't have.
Can we even get some of these airlines that fly into Nigeria to take up some of these challenges for us?
Of course.
Provide all of this because they come here, they make money, and they go away with it. So can we make such arrangements?
All right. A day must surely come when elected officials must ask the people who voted for them before defecting to other political parties. This is the statement by Justice Taiwo of the Federal High Court, Abuja, while delivering a judgment on defecting of some members of the Cross River State House of Assembly. In the judgment, the court sacked the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Ethan Williams, and 17 other members, as well as 2 members of the House of Representatives from the states, Michael Etaba and Ligobagbo, over their defection from the People's Democratic Party, that's the PDP, to the All Progressive Congress, APC. Let's share the court story with you.
It is barely 2 weeks after the Federal High Court nullified the candidacy of Governor and Deputy Governor of Ebonyi State over their defection to the APC. Now the Federal High Court Abuja, presided by Justice Taiwo, has again nullified the candidacy of 20 lawmakers for defecting from the party through which they were duly elected. The People's Democratic Party had instituted a suit against the lawmakers over their defection to the All Progressives Congress. In the judgment, the court held that the lawmakers, since they have abandoned the People's Democratic Party, which sponsored them to power, they should vacate their seats. The court also noted that the actions of the lawmaker in challenging the competency of the suit is feeble and constitutes an attempt to pull the wool over the eyes of the court.
This is another major decision upholding our constitutional provisions. The time for, resorting to the rule of law should now actually be welcomed.
Senior advocate of Nigeria, Michael Zekomen, says his clients will appeal the judgment promptly.
Under Section 25A of the Court of Appeal Act, to appeal to the Court of Appeal, 90 days. And this being a final judgment under Section 150 and Section 151 of the Constitution, we don't need the leave of the court to appeal. It's an appeal as of right.
Parties that have lost their mandate over the defection of their members who were duly elected by them to political positions will see this judgment as a pathway to seek redress in court. Celestina Iria, TVC News, Abuja.
Wow. Before the 2019 election, we had a situation whereby we were counting the number of lawmakers in the National Assembly. This for APC, this for the People's Democratic Party, because it was like a daily affair, seeing lawmakers crisscrossing. Now, because of that section of our constitution that says that, yes, if there is division or there's crisis in the party at the national level, that the lawmaker, they can switch, and if they are able to justify it. Now, we now find a situation whereby governors that were duly elected under a certain political party 2-3 years down the line, 1 year down the line, when they have problem there, they will go to another party. Now, this is like, a landmark judgment, sacking all the members of the State House of Assembly, now sacking the House of Representatives, and the governor is going to get his own day in court. Jide?
Well, the lawmakers who sheepishly follow governors to who are defecting to a party, they've got to realize that the law does not permit them to defect unless there is a serious crisis within their party. Crisis not even at the their micro level, but at the national level, capable of dividing the party into
like what
two.
we had in PDP pre-2019.
Yes. So it's not, you can't sit in your state, there's no crisis. A governor just feels that, well, because he has immunity, he can go to another party. And you that you don't have immunity, you that the constitution clearly says that as lawmakers you cannot move unless there's you then decide to move. Now we are seeing this in across the country. Even the speaker of the former speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, he defected. His own seat too has been declared vacant. We've got to put an end to the yearly ritual of our politicians defecting, glory seekers defecting to another party where they think they will have access to more money. There was a particular politician that defected in Adamawa State. Immediately, the new government came, he defected. Now that government that party that he defected to only spent 4 years. The old party is back in power. I wonder whether it will still go back to.
It's something that happens.
Whether it will still go back to this to his original vomit. These lawmakers in Cross River, they went with the governor. They wanted to show loyalty, but look at what has happened now. Now, it is not everybody in the Cross River House that has joined the race. The reason the police went to the house today was to forestall attempts by the PDP members left in the house to sit, because those ones will have loved to sit and then appoint their own speaker. So they had to go there to stop them while these ones are processing their stay of execution or whatever. But we've seen lawmakers sacked, even if they go to Supreme Court, as long as they don't have concrete evidence of division within their party. What happened to Hilanwo in Ondo State is what will happen to them. And you will be told to repay the salaries that you had earned.
The emoluments.
All right, we'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Stay with us. It's still journalist hangout, Dotun. And when you want to look at this crisis, you will discover that, look, like the People's Democratic Party, they are poised to go to courts. They're saying that all those governors they've lost and the people that they've defected from PDP to APC, with this is like a ginger that, look, this impunity must stop?
Well, it's been argued that this is a landmark judgment, and we are likely to have more of it because the Supreme Court has said it, and very clearly too. You can't take one party's votes to another. But the major argument that has occurred with the governors has just been the issue of immunity. And the last time I was here, I said it, that every case demands fresh arguments. You can't go with the same argument and think because it's worked in one case, it's going to work in this one. And what we've also always seen in this country is this. Every politician wants to be on the side of the government at the center. So once a government, even at the state level too, once a government comes in, everybody moves in that direction, whether it is justifiable or not. The case BKO mentioned that occurred today in Plateau State, for instance. What was the basis for removing the man? It wasn't a court pronouncement. The chairman of the All Progressive Congress wrote the speaker and said, this man moved from APC to PDP. Invoke your power and remove him. It wasn't a court judgment. And they removed the man today. Yet, the same APC is fighting that the lawmakers in Cross River and the governors in Cross River and Ebonyi should not be removed after moving, switching parties. And then you begin to ask yourself, what's the basis for some of these arguments? Because what the chairman of the APC in Plateau State, Rufus Bature, wrote to the speaker, Yakubu Sanda, was, see, this man that is called Abok Ayuba has defected. And he said the party which sponsored his election, which is to request that as the speaker of the Plateau State Assembly, you should invoke the power conferred on you by section 109 subsection 2. Invoke the power to accordingly declare vacant the seat of Ayuba, since the constitutional conditions that warrant his defection do not exist. He was the one who determined it and pronounced it, and the speaker, in a matter of minutes, acted on it.
They can test it in court.
Yes, they can test it in court.
I doubt if they have the power to
has ruled
declare.
In one instance, that you don't have a right. But it is the speaker in this instance who is ruling, the same party. So it's all of these things are self-serving. We are not playing politics according to the rules. We want to play it according to how we feel
what suits us.
per time. What suits us. And that shouldn't be. The rule of law is
Let me take you back critical. To 2007, 2007, before the General Obasanjo handed over, the President Obasanjo handed over. As at that time, he declared the seats of his vice president vacant because that one moved to the Action Congress of Nigeria, and he felt that since we were both elected by the People's Democratic Party, that you can't just move to another party. He declared his seat vacant, and it was a subject of litigation at that time.
And the Supreme Court was right that, look, you can't sack your deputy. You have no power to sack your deputy. He had been having issues with him, the whole of that second term. They've been fighting. And he made moves, all kinds of moves to humiliate Atiku, set up panels. He was, at the end of the day, he was not indicted. So, seeing that Atiku was going to leave his party, he sacked many of Atiku's staff. He came up with the idea of there is only one presidency. So, but
the likes of late
Atiku kept defeating him in court. Atiku kept defeating him in court. It was at the last minute that Atiku's name was put on the ballot.
I remember.
So the court pronouncement was that you have a joint ticket. It's like a marriage. Both of you as Siamese twins. You cannot singularly operate your presidency. When they gave you that mandate, it was for the two of you.
Joint tickets.
So on that basis, his effort to if he has succeeded, he will have removed Atiku and
oh yes, he wanted to do that.
Appointed a deputy for himself. You know, he was planning. I don't know if it was verified, but he was planning to put someone else, and he was told that no, it's a joint ticket. Does not belong to you alone. You know, so there have been lessons that the Supreme Court and other courts of record have been teaching us, and the Supreme Court is a court of policy, which means that it can make pronouncements that become law.
Yes.
You know, it's not every law in our country that is codified in the Constitution, being the ground norm. The Supreme Court makes law. By its pronouncement is law.
It becomes law.
So in this case, if the Supreme Court wants to put an end to the nonsense that we see every election year, whereby people move and all that, these governors can be made scapegoats. And after that, the ugly attitude of defecting will now come to an end. The framers of our Constitution targeted lawmakers because of what happened during the First Republic. The cross-carpeting the floor of the parliament at that time was what led to the riots in the Southwest. So they wanted to put an end to such a thing. That was why they targeted the lawmakers. But as we can see, the executive too, they defect anyhow. You know, so something at the end of the day, something must give. Because me, I've not seen anywhere with where defection is so rampant as we see in our country.
All right, moving on now. The coast is certainly not clear yet for the March 26th National Convention of the All Progressive Congress, APC. Barely 4 days to the APC convention, President Muhammadu Buhari is set to meet with some state governors to harmonize consensus lists of national officers to reduce possible friction during the exercise. The meeting is as a result of fallout of decision of some APC members to shun micro-zoning model adopted by the party. Jide, I don't know if a convention is built for Saturday, and the convention that they've been avoiding since all these days, if they are going to have it, it's like a do or die thing. They must have that convention on Saturday, but it's not looking rosy at all in terms of achieving consensus across board.
They've left so many things so late. To hammer out unanimity on issues like this takes time. And where you have disagreements, you have to come back, meet again.
Yes, now give and take. A lot of horse trading.
Do some horse trading, and then you agree, and you are sure that everyone is happy. This kind of thing takes time, and time is not on their hands, as we can see. Now, initially people were saying, "Oh, Mr. President wants Adamu." Mr. President, the president now does not want to be blackmailed anymore, and he's saying, "Look, I don't want."
Anybody.
The problem, you people should go and decide who you want. And the way it is, I don't, the chairmanship of the party, I don't think they can achieve some form of consensus. Maybe at the end of the day they will contest against one another.
Maybe they should go to and then
yes,
go to
because many of the governors, as well as the governors of the legacy party, and they want Al-Makura. People are saying Mr. President wants Adamu. Some governors also want Yari.
Yes.
As we are speaking, some governors want Yari. They've even gone to him. So at the end of the day, there will be a contest, except they are able to agree at the last minute that, okay, Al-Makura, you appear to have many governors. Okay, Al-Makura, you are our choice. So they've got to continue. Look at if Ewedele, for example, is from Ondo State. The position was not zoned to Ondo State. But now they came out, they appeared on a list that the president was said to have endorsed. That means some people misled the president. And the same thing is similar about somebody that we know is a friend of the president, who is from the northwest. The position was zoned to the northeast. They took a list to the president endorsed, whereas that position had been zoned to the northeast. And it's from the northwest. So now some of even what had been decided, they have to come back and say, okay, let's resolve this. Because if I'm a governor, for example, from the southwest, you have to get me involved in the decision making. People can't just go and lobby on their own and say, okay, this is who we want. The governor, for the governor to feel that they listen to you, that is important, you got to get the buy-in of the governor before you can come up with someone and say this. Otherwise, it's not even consensus in the true sense of the word. So time is not on their hands, but at least even today, some of the people that I called, every time I called them, they told me they were meeting. So it means that they are trying to find a way to resolve this issue. Some of the people that they have chosen will stand. People like Ekemeke, for example. It's difficult to find someone who is that qualified. He's been literally everything. He's been literally everything. Yes, Commissioner for Works, Attorney General, you know, worked at NECO. He was the first chairman of the APC in Ondo State. So he's someone well prepared for that kind of job, and he's been nominated. So people like that will sail through. But there are still some gray areas that they need to address.
Now, looking at it, the stakes seems to be higher now, because in the election year, this is the ruling party, and even the NWC to achieve unanimity, setting up the NWC is a big problem.
Well, it's always it's a norm for the unity list to come out the midnight of the election. Even when we've not had this kind of aggravated contests and contention within the ruling party. It's always been midnight, maybe around 2 a.m., 2 a.m. That's when it starts going around, and then voting starts around 4 and all the rest. But beyond that is the fact that everybody, like BKO said, is struggling for a structure that is self-serving. The governors, they are divided. Just some 2 days back, the APC caucus in the Senate disowned all the 3 senators who want to be chairman of the party. They said, we are not backing anybody. Let them go and contest. And all of them from the Net Central. In fact, 2 of them from Nasarawa State. Meaning that even in their own states, they couldn't agree on who to put forward. So it's going to be rough fight in a way. Because at the end of the day, just like the president is doing now, it's likely he's going to stand aloof until the last minute. And that can be dangerous, because what we are talking about is voting. Whether you achieve consensus or not, you are still going to vote. It's not by voice affirmation. You must go there and cast those votes. If in casting the votes, there is a gang up even against the president, it will show in the result. And that could be the end of the party.
We'll take this other breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. Keep your dial locked. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us. There's still fire on the mountain regarding insecurity in Zamfara State, and the government is taking desperate measures to salvage the situation. In one of such efforts, the state government recruited 4,200 community protection guards, including ex-servicemen, to tackle the scourge. However, armed bandits killed a village head and 19 other persons in an attack on a community in Bukiyam local government area of the state on Sunday. The armed bandits chased fleeing residents on motorbikes and shot them while they scampered for safety. Let's also tell you that 700,000 persons are said to have been displaced by bandits in the states. In one state, if 700,000 people are said to have been displaced.
People are residing in IDP camps. Some of the communities have been destroyed. In some of these states of the Northwest, bandits are occupying territories just like Boko Haram.
That means the figure given by Governor Yari at a point in time that they have over 30,000 bandits in Zamfara state might have increased considerably.
Yes, because we are unable to put an end to their activities.
It keeps going.
They've been emboldened, and we are seeing more and more of the evil things that they do. During Yari's time, these guys were not, bandits were not attacking schools. It's a recent development that bandits in the Northwest will attack schools and kidnap people. No. Attacking schools was what Boko Haram was doing, starting with school in Chibok and then Dapchi. But bandits attacking schools in the Northwest is a recent development. So it shows that they are bolder now than before. Now, bandits are telling people you have to pay to access your farms. You have to pay so that your community will not be attacked. And when you fail to pay or you default, they will then descend on you and start killing people. What can be as bad as that? At a point, we thought that the Zamfara case had improved. But as I've always said, if the style or the attitude is to focus on one state and then think that once you deal with bandits in that state, then you are wasting your time, because they will go to another state. All of those states,
terrorize.
Right from Kaduna, right from Niger, those states link one another. All the way, because they all were even part of the old northwestern state. The old northwestern state began from Niger right up to Sokoto. Yeah. Very big states in those days. So those forests link one another, and these guys are showing that they are not prepared to give up unless we come out with the right strategy that will not spare them. These guys are not ready to go to stop this nonsense. The other day, we were told that Dogo Gide had been killed. It turned out to be a lie. Dogo Gide is still misbehaving all over the place. He was the one who kidnapped those FGC students in Kebbi State. And he has married some of them off to his fighters. So we've got to, and when states say that, okay, they are hiring ex-servicemen, with what gun are they going to confront these people? Every time we see bandits slaughter vigilantes, it's because the vigilantes are going around with them guns. And these guys are going with GPMGs, AK-47 and AK-49.
RPG.
It's just like a ladder involved in a Formula 1 race with a
ladder, you call it.
Oh, it makes no sense.
And when you look at this, I think, I'm not saying, I've not lost hope entirely on the ability of this government to actually handle it, but security must be a major talking point if anybody wants to rule this country. And we have to make sure that there's a master plan, because the problem we have in terms of security, it's a very big problem right now.
Yes, there is no doubt about that. But like we've said continuously on this program, what we are suffering now, we laid the foundation years back when we refused to equip the military and the police in terms of personnel and equipment. That's what we have done. So, because you cannot assume, like we did, that because the country is at peace, you must not fortify your security apparatus and just leave it. We're at peace. Nobody is fighting us. We don't want to fight anybody. That's what got us here. Because in those years, when we left all of these things undone, we had military personnel, we had police, all retiring and not being replaced adequately. You had fighter jets that were getting bad. You had transport planes that were getting bad, that were not being taken care of. If you go to some of the Air Force bases, you will see some of these things there. Whereas in other places, what they do is phase them out and replace. So for us to be able to do what BKO said, as in cover all the states at once, it's going to take a lot. So anybody who is coming with a promise that is going to tackle this thing in 4 years is also selling us another lie. Because it's not just possible. Look at how long it has taken us to employ in the police. It is my commission that can do it. It is the management of the police that can do it. So if we continue that way, are we going to get a solution? It is no. So it's something that should be continuous. Look at how long it took us to get the Super Tucano. Have we ordered for another one after that? Knowing that this thing can take a year or two before we get it? We have not. Some of the equipment that we are using in the Northeast now, they took 2-3 years in coming. Have we ordered for another set? So we actually need more than that. But at the same time as we are talking on that, that is equipping the military and the police, we must also consider other things. That beyond security, there are other areas. ASU is on strike. It's a matter of money. Doctors, they are always threatening. NASU, NAT has started its own. Everybody is going on strike. It's all about money. So it's priority now. And how to succeed in splitting the resources that we have to ensure that we have something close to a country.
You know, we have allowed this thing to escalate. How do we de-escalate it?
It's what we've been making suggestions that have not been followed. I listened to Governor Wafai the other day. A lot of what he said regarding this banditry in the Northwest were things that we had suggested here. The governor, for example, suggested that there should be simultaneous operation across the contiguous states. Are we doing that? Are we not giving them room to escape to safer areas when we focus on a particular state? You know, then the issue of that we don't even have enough men, enough soldiers and policemen to deal with this problem. One local government in Zamfara state is bigger than some states in the southwest. Just one local government. And these forests are vast. These guys are moving around in those forests. Now those forests are stretching all the way to Central African Republic. They are moving around freely there. How do we deal with the situation? So it's an incremental thing. It's going to take a while. Even when the new government comes, let no one be deceived that, look, it's going to be easy to deal with these guys. Some of us thought that it would be easy to flush out Boko Haram. After more than 7 years, we now know better.
I thought we had a general hand because that would be an advantage.
Okay.
All right, Dotun Oladipo, thank you for your contribution.
Thank you so much.
And the maestro himself, Babajide Koladi Otitoju, thank you for always being there. And that's the size of our package today.